Yep.
All right. What else did we have yesterday? We had Ohio and Jason Preston winning. That was a very obvious upset. We don't have to talk too much about it. The one thing I just want to say is like there were a lot of overarching opinions coming out about Tony Bennett and Virginia basketball and all this other stuff about because
moronic.
He's got like
moronic.
the weirdest 3-year tournament run in the history of the sport.
Sure.
First guy to ever lose to a 16 seed, win a national title, lose to a 13 seed the next year. And so everyone is out here tweeting again and writing again and posting it about how Virginia can't win the big game, this, that, and the third. Look, Virginia was not as good as they normally are this year. They were overinflated as a 4 seed. I think everybody has kind of accepted the fact that they were not quite that good. They were also coming off of a shutdown where they did not practice for a week. And to me, where that showed up in the second half, Virginia got all the shots that they wanted. Go back and watch the tape. They got open shots, the shots that they wanted out of their offense. They all ended up short. You know what that says to me? That says to me that it's a team that didn't have any legs. Now, it's not to say that Ohio didn't deserve to win, because that's not the case at all. They went out there and they executed. They made the plays that they needed to make. They were really, really good defensively. And, the Vanderplas kid made 2 big shots. Jason Preston had 2 beautiful assists on the most important possessions of the game, and they won the game. Like they went out and they did it. But it was,
What else? What else stood out to you? What else stood out to you the most? I mean, the Pac-12's dominance. Big 12, other than Texas, sending everybody forward here. And I mean, listen, I'm trying to think of like what else was kind of that one thing. I mean, Maryland beating your UConn Huskies, that was a little bit surprising.
No, it wasn't.
The way they beat them. Let me
ask you this. On this stream, every single time UConn plays, I've said I'm going to bet on them, right? Every single time. I did not bet on UConn against Maryland. Like that was a horrible matchup. They switch everything.
It was.
They take you out of what you want to run offensively, and they have like 1 or 2 guys that are perfectly suited to being able to lock up James Bouknight. And if you can lock up James Bouknight and take him out of the consideration and not let him create, UConn doesn't have another option. Like that was
very true.
As that came out, what was the first thing I said on Selection Sunday night? It's a horrible match.
Bad matchup. You're right.
I kind of accepted my fate that was going to be the way that thing ended up playing out.
You know who looked good? You know who looked really good? And I don't know if it was just they're better than we think or the team they played isn't very good, is Colorado. They were unbelievable. Samaki Walker's son was like lighting it up. McKinley Wright was exactly what we know McKinley Wright is. Made every right play. And Georgetown lost by felt like 100. Honestly, they were never in this game. It was absolutely. I was at that one to start the day, and I was like, "Oh man, I picked the wrong game here. I picked absolutely the wrong game because I forget what was the other game that I missed. Oh, the Kansas game. I think I could have been at that one, and I chose Hinkle for the first 2 games to see. Honestly, Patrick Ewing and Rick Pitino. And neither game were great. Like Pitino kept it close for a while. I mean, he did a hell of a job, and I was thinking maybe here, but eventually Alabama won out. Herb Jones made a huge play, and Petty didn't play well. That worries me, but I actually think it's kind of good for Alabama that Petty didn't have one of his games where he was like 5 for 7 from 3 and was terrific, because he'll have it. He'll have it in the next one probably.
Yeah. The only other game that I really wanted to talk about was there's 2. I wanted to talk about UCSB hanging on to or losing to Creighton at the end on a play that I mean was not. Did you think that was a foul at the end on Amadou Sal?
It looked like it to me, but again, I couldn't tell for sure. I couldn't tell, but it looked like it. I just didn't think they were going to get the call anyway.
Yeah, I didn't think that it was a foul. I thought that he went up looking for the contact, trying to avoid the contact instead of just going through and drawing a foul. And I think that's what would have gotten him the call. And it sucks because I had UCSB winning, and that would have been a nice little upset. We would have had a nice little 12-13 matchup in the second round of the NCAA tournament. The other one was Eastern Washington. Did you expect that out of the Eagles, the Groves brothers?
Well, I did, only because you were like, who they're playing against here. It's a Kansas team that's without one of its they're not exactly loaded with talent this year, as we've said, and they're without Jalen Wilson, one of their top offensive players, and David McCormick's coming back from a long layoff of not practicing with the team, and he looked gassed. Like I mean, he always does when he runs. Like he looks tired, but he looked even more lethargic than usual going against the Tanner Groves, who was kind of the star. Imagine if they had won. Like Tanner Groves would be everywhere today if they had won. Because man, the look, the game, all of it. It was fun to watch Eastern Washington. That was a fun game that I wish I had been at.
Yeah. So UCLA and LSU both looked very, very good yesterday. LSU completely dominated St. Bonaventure, and UCLA was very, very impressive in their win over BYU. Do you take anything out of those two games? I feel, UCLA now draws Abilene Christian in the second round of the tournament, which will be an interesting matchup. I actually think that they're better suited to taking on a team like that than Texas is, because Tiger Campbell's a guy that's going to make right decisions and is not going to get too overwhelmed by pressure. I think that what you have to do when you face Abilene is be able to beat them in isolation and kind of win one-on-one. And I think that UCLA has better guys for that than Texas does in theory. So I don't know. We'll see. That's a tough defense that Abilene Christian plays. The other one that is
that's the thing. They just make it so ugly for you, and they're like, I don't know if you could tell on TV, their guards are so small. They're tiny, Rob. Like that was the part that blew me away as much as just about anything. It's obviously, you got like the matchup of Jericho Sims and I forget his name, number 3 for Abilene. And it's like Jericho's this friggin' hulking beast of a man. And you got this dude who's like maybe 6'4", 260 pounds. And he looks like, honestly, and Golding said this, he's probably going to be a really good defensive end once he finishes playing here. Like that's probably what he should have been in college. But, man, they just play hard as shit. And that's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be a hell of a game. Trust me, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about tonight's slate, or today's slate, I guess I should say.